And now we welcome the return of PR Murry.
Okay, this time I'm going to be doing quite a lot of poems about animals and birds. But as we are Dodo Modern poets, and the name of the dodos, of course, as probably all know, a bird that was made extinct by people, my first poem remembers one or two of the other creatures who have also been made extinct. The great auk is gone, so we'll never know if it cried auk like its own name, and Stella's sea cow has gone too, so we'll never again hear its maritime moo. The passenger pigeon's great commute is done, and the thylacine, who can say it could still be around today? That's what we'd rather believe than face the fact that we are butchers who lose little sleep, then wake to kill and kill and kill. Only then do we weep. And thankfully, these creatures are still alive. They're wonderful things to see, except perhaps if you were lying in a desert about to die. And this was a poem about vultures. In Spain, at Monfragh, 300 vultures live on a crag. I have seen them with my own eyes, and they have seen me and ignored me. A fat man who gets out of a van and gapes up in awe. Some sit on ledges, some perch on edges, and then let go to fall, spread wings and soar. They may circle and glide, find a thermal to ride in spirals and gyres, higher and higher and higher and higher, silently curving, intersecting, interlacing in a broad feathered dance in the sky, over the Tagus Gorge, over the valleys and woods, up ever into pure azure, high above apes and their words. Now, sadly, sometimes people like to take birds like that should be flying and shut them in zoos. Zoos have their uses, but I don't think confining such birds is one of them. I am an eagle. I live in a zoo. I don't like it much, neither would you. I sat on my perch, I glared down at crowds, I dived in my mind between dreamed clouds. I sat on my perch, I stared at the wall, but I saw a sky with no bars at all. I sat on my perch, I sat on the floor, I tried to imagine what it feels like to soar. Then God of Eagles made good luck for me, one unlocked moment, enough to fly free. What life without a cage was too short and sweet. Wide London sky, killed dogs to eat, I sat in my tree. I didn't know what to feel, I kept dreaming of bars and regular meals. I sat in my tree, alone with the sky. I saw a warm cage, I'd no wish to fly. I sat in my tree, I knew I was tamed. I made no move to escape when the dart gun was raised. I am an eagle, I live in a zoo. I don't like it much, and neither would you. That was more or less the true story of an eagle called Goldie who once escaped from London Zoo. This is another animal who escaped from the zoo recently, and this one, I don't know if it has a more tragic ending or not, but anyway. Lilith leapt the electric fence. Maybe at the time it made sense to pounce, claws extended at a bird in flight, and so fall into freedom by accident. Or maybe she made a deliberate jailbreak, because you've got to do what you've got to do to get out of the zoo, and who knows what a lynx thinks. But briefly, Lilith the lynx got away. She was no longer on display. She was no longer confined to be admired or to be ignored by the curious, the awestruck, or the bored peering through the wire. Perhaps real freedom then kicked in, with no food and drink provided. Out in the woods and fields and hills, to eat she has to hunt and kill, and at first maybe she has an edge, since it must be centuries since any lynx walked and stalked along these thickets and hedges. So maybe some rabbits and mice, or a bird or two, turned just too late and drew their last breath between the jaws of golden-eyed death. Sadly, hunters can be hunted too, and Lilith could not be left to be free. She was the property of a zoo, and large predators in Britain just cannot be unless they're members of the bourgeoisie. Uncle Lilith caused official fear, alleged to pose a risk severe. So a killing bullet, not a tranquilizing dart, was sent to stop this beauty's heart. But the wheel will turn and justice will be done, and free once more Lilith will run, padding along on larger paws, with longer, stronger, deadlier claws. Reborn a larger, fiercer cat, she'll rip the throats out of bureaucrats. People really do. Some people, not me, because I'm a lazy person, this is a justification of my horticultural laziness, but some people really want to control nature, and one of the ways they control it is in their gardens. So, if you have the money, why not spend it creating your very own miniature totalitarian state in your very own garden? Surround and secure your territory with hedges, trimmed into regular, rectangular configurations. Install wrought iron gates to control all migration. Only allow grass to grow in designated lawns and nowhere else. Ensure each blade of grass is exactly cut to uniform length and that everyone is of the same species and colour. AstroTurf is not an acceptable substitute because it will not involve making living things submit to your will. Arrange other selected pure bred plants at precisely equal intervals in borders that are made in accurate geometrical shapes. Only squares, parallelograms and triangles will do. Use fire, iron, chemical and biological means to eradicate all intrusive weeds, insects, invertebrates and other creatures. Install automatic security lights and video to enhance surveillance. The sky may be still unruly and the weather unpredictable, but just ignore them and gloat over your new horticultural order. But if you get up early in the morning, you may see me lazing, sunbathing in the first rays of the day, lying, yawning, content, alone on the lawn you thought that you had rented or even owned. You maybe imagined it was part of your home. But I've been living here all the time, making my bed under your garden shed. This whole street of discreet English persons' castles, clenched by suburban arseholes, is not your land, is mine. I hunt across it in my own time, and you seldom see me unless I want you to. And I show myself so you can clearly see the true owner of the territory, the urbane suburban fox. My compliments. That's me. Those of you who know poetry will know that this, the beginning of this poem at least, is a bit of a compliment to William Blake. Anyway. I am a tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night, or in the day and in the shade, lying watching in a glade, where the golden light is striping down through green foliage and leaves me almost invisible except for my unblinking eye, which only the dying should see. I am a tiger, and I once heard a philosopher teaching. He said, philosophy is like searching for a black cat in a darkened room at night with a brown paper bag over your head. It is totally out of court. It is just not cricket. I thought, this did not concern me because I am a tiger, not a black panther. But lest some roving forest gypsy passing by with a handmade flintlock gun fashioned out of an old gas pipe should descry my unblinking eye and shoot me through it in order to sell my powerful powdered penis to give a millionaire somewhere a hard-on he doesn't really need. I stir myself and pad out across the jungle floor. Yes, I think, I'll eat a philosopher tonight. Knock the back of his head with one swipe of my paw. Lick the knowledge porridge out of his skull with my abrasive tongue so that I might then know what he was talking about. Or I could, like my northern brothers up in the snow, go for a Siberian. But that might just be like drinking a gallon of vodka. Okay, and the last poem, I've done a lot of poems about quite glamorous animals, eagles, vultures, tigers, the lynx, but not all animals are so glamorous as that, and this last poem remembers some of the less glamorous animals. Hello, I'm a slug and I'm trawling out tonight, leaving a trail of slime because I'm going to unite with the headlouse, the woodlouse, the weevil and the rat, and also join up with several other species that are anti-charismatic in the public eye. But this is an injustice which we seek to rectify. None of us look striking, posing on mountain sides, migrating across savannas or singing in the sky. We don't dive or leap majestically out of the ocean. Fine artists don't paint us to symbolise emotions or patriotism, freedom and other noble notions. We don't roam in rainforests or tundras. We were stowaways on the ark. Where we live is called infested, never made a national park. But no one will cross the world to see us. But to hear a gorilla fart, they'll fly all the way to Africa in a polluting jet plane. The gorilla farts, they gasp in glee, and then fly back again. We won't sell you anything with cute faces or appealing eyes. The means of our own death are what we advertise. The picture of one cockroach sells tons of insecticides. We are vermin, pests, pariahs, carrion-eating parasites. But when it all ends, we'll cut you down to size. The corpse of one lion can feed 10,000 flies.
Thank you, that was PR Murry and his amazing Animal Kingdom. So, where are we? We're at the end of the show. Just want to ask for some applause for all the open mic players, but wait, because I'm going to call out all their names. So, we've had Robert Drury, Steve White, Lee Yan, John Hurley, Anne Vaughan Williams, and Nathan Carrier. Q&A, I forgot me. Samira El-Baja, our first feature poet. Once again, PR Murry. Just to remind you about Macmillan's bucket if you've got some spare change, and to remind you of next month's show, 31st of October. It's on Halloween, so please come along. And Samira's Banshee poem made me think of possibility you might bring some scary poems to that afternoon and frighten ourselves into needing a strong drink afterwards. So thank you once again for coming to our first show of the autumn. Goodbye.